Welcome to the OLV Daily Reflection for Monday, August 3rd. Today's Gospel reading is a continuation from the Gospel passage that we heard yesterday from the 12th chapter of St. Matthew's Gospel. As we remember from yesterday, Jesus had finished feeding over 5,000 people with a miracle of loaves and fishes. And then this encounter happens. And the Gospel reads as follows. Jesus made the disciples get into a boat and precede him to the other side of the sea, while he dismissed the crowds. After doing so, he went up on the mountain by himself to pray. When it was evening, he was there alone. Meanwhile, the boat, already a few miles offshore, was being tossed about by the waves, for the wind was against it. During the fourth watch of the night, he came toward them walking on the sea. When the disciples saw him walking on the sea, they were terrified. "It is a ghost," they said, and they cried out in fear. At once Jesus spoke to them. "Take courage, it is I. Do not be afraid." Peter said to him in reply, "Lord, if it is you, command me to come to you on the water." He said, "Come." Peter got out of the boat and began to walk on the water towards Jesus. But when he saw how strong the wind was, he became frightened. And beginning to sink, he cried out, "Lord, save me." Immediately Jesus stretched out his hand and caught him and said to him, "O you of little faith, why do you doubt?" And after they got into the boat, the wind died down. And those who were in the boat did him homage, saying, "Truly you are the Son of God." And after making the crossing, they came to the land at Gennesaret. When the men of the place recognized him, they sent word to all the surrounding country. People brought to him all who were sick and begged him that they might touch only the tassel on his cloak, and as many as touched it were healed. St. Peter is definitely the focus of this passage, but I wanted to provide some context because the feeding of the 5,000 happened before this encounter that Jesus had with St. Peter, and then also we hear at the end that he was doing miracles again. So this encounter with St. Peter on the Sea of Galilee was one that pointed out how we are to live our personal faith. So let's talk a little bit about St. Peter. First of all, why did he get out of the boat? And I think it's very clear that he did want to prove it was Jesus and not a ghost. And furthermore, I think in many ways, he had a deep faith that if it was Jesus, and if he did get out of the boat, that he would be fine. Because this seasoned fisherman knew that stepping out of a boat would mean that he'd be a swimming fisherman. But again, a miracle happened. St. Peter was walking on water. He knew it was Jesus. Now, I think that as I've prayed with this, if he could have stayed focused on the reality that he was going towards Jesus, that the great miracle of him walking on water was happening, he would have been able to go out and meet Jesus on the water. But he was a seasoned fisherman. As he was going on this journey towards Jesus by walking on the water, he felt the wind. And maybe in his own mind, he remembered a time in his life when he almost drowned because of strong winds. And it's at that moment that he started to sink. So not only did he start with a great act of faith, but his personal experiences probably led him to lose faith and to think that he was going to drown because he got out of the boat. And furthermore, could not walk on water unless it was given to him by Jesus. But as we heard, at the request of St. Peter, Jesus rescued him. And then we hear this comment from Jesus that almost sounds harsh. "O you little faith, why did you doubt?" But again, I don't see this as a strong rebuke. I see this as a true statement. St. Peter took the great act of faith by getting out of the boat, and Jesus wanted him to come to him. But his personal experiences, the experiences he was going through, quickly caused him to lose faith and to start to sink. So Jesus' comment was just stating the fact that within a few moments, St. Peter went from great faith to a lack of faith. And again, it was part of just his experience. So I don't think any of us can be critical of St. Peter, because I think we all have moments where we started off with great faith, and then almost within a few moments, we go to the opposite end of the spectrum. We lose faith, or we have doubt. We question things because of our experience. So I think this experience of St. Peter is just a gentle reminder to all of us that we hope and pray that our personal faith will always remain strong, even in the midst of the most difficult experiences. And that we, like St. Peter, can truly be people that go out on faith, that take risks because of faith, that sometimes go against our own personal inclinations because of faith. But also we have to know that when that faith is questioned, those are the times where we need to make sure that we don't abandon faith, we don't lose hope, but we know that the hand of Jesus is there waiting to pull us up, to rescue us, to put us back in a position where we can have faith again. Because I don't think the question for St. Peter is that whether he had drowned that day. The question is would he learn the important lesson that even when things are difficult, you never lose focus of the fact that Jesus is there to help and support us. Please know my continued thoughts and prayers for all of you. Our Lady of Victory, pray for us.